There is already money in school as far as the laboratory and the NG-CDF. We are doing what we can to make sure that we increase the infrastructure of our public secondary school. We make sure that we have enough infrastructure. We make sure we have enough laboratory. But when it comes to giving bursaries, we must do away with it and make sure we make education, especially in public day schools, free. As some of the constituencies in our constituency, we have tried to manage it because there must be a way we control and manage, because the only cost that is given from the high schools is the school feeding. So there must be a formula that we can use to make sure all the day schools, that a student can wake up in the morning, go to school, spend the day in school, have lunch at school, and then at the end of the day, the parent doesn't have to produce or to give anything, so that we continue maintaining as many students as possible in our secondary day school, Mr. Speaker. We must be intentional by making the cost of education affordable. And that's why we want to appreciate the government by the kind of teachers they employed. The issue of BOM teachers have been able to be reduced. So therefore, there is no cost that is passed to the parent because of the BOM teachers. We must be intentional again. Even next year, all those teachers who are in the internship, they must be absorbed by the Teacher Service Commission. And those are some of the things that we are saying. We need to do an overhaul on the education sector. If you look at the national budget, the cost of education in Kenya, it is the highest as far as all the departmental or all the government departments are concerned, all the ministries. We are costing about 750 billion shillings annually. That we must be intentional to make sure that there is result. As far as the investments that we are injecting in the education sector in this country, there must be results in terms of, are we able to sustain the students in school? Are we able to make sure that, education become a right for every child, even if the Constitution offers that? We must see it deliberate, that every child in Kenya goes to school without hassle. No parent does have to sell the property, or no parent will have to sell his cows or his goats because he wants to keep his child in primary or secondary school, Mr. Speaker. So it must be intentional, because the only way to equalize all the children, the kids from the poor background, the kids from the rich background, is to make sure that the education is accessible from across the board. When you go to Turkana, when you come to Nairobi, that the education cost is it's a government affair. Just for the
interest of the chair, you said we consolidate all these bursaries and we make secondary education free in the country. All the money that are set aside for bursaries, and you're talking about the NG-CDF,
yes,
the national government, constituency development fund, the ward fund, the governors, and all that. Now, what about tertiary education and university education?
You see, Mr. Speaker, there is
if those bursaries are done away with and all those resources just go into secondary education, then what happens to students who are going to be poor students who cannot afford to go through tertiary and university educations? And because by then all the CDF and all these bursaries, according to you, should be consolidated into one kitty, and the national government should take over.
When you look at it, Mr. Speaker, because of the discussion we are having as a country, whereby we consolidate all the bursaries, it's a suggestion. And number two, amount of money that we spend probably on the high school, because even if the kind of bursary we offer in our public day, in our NG-CDF, is not more than 10,000 shillings, Mr. Speaker. When you do the 10,000 and the costing of tertiary and TVETs, the amount of money that parent will cost, that parent will have to, to provide for the child to continue, it is so minimal. So if we can be able to save some amount of money for the 4 years that child has been in high school, maybe probably that parent will be planning on on the engagement that is going to have, or the costing of the tertiary education and university, Mr. Speaker. But it's a discussion that people need to have honestly, so that at the end of the day, even if the government is going to put a lot of resources, especially on the funding model that we have, especially for the universities, then we may look at it. Are we saving any amount of money? Is model A a good model? Is model B a good model? But we need to have that discussion, so that at least if we need 30 billion, I had the former chair here suggesting that we only need 30 billion to make sure that every child in secondary school, or every child mostly in junior secondary and secondary school, because now we have junior secondary, to go to school without paying anything. But you see also there are other costs that every school sometimes, when it comes to uniform, when you realize the cost of uniform, it has become so crazy that you find that a uniform that we used to buy, we normally buy about 3, 4, 5,000. The school, when you look at the fee structure, the uniform alone is about 20 or something or 15,000 in some of the high schools. So we must look for a way to modernize and to be deliberate about making the cost of education a little bit achievable, especially for the secondary and the junior secondary school. But when it comes to the university, there are many other activities that happens within university. And the government will also look into it. Because if you want to tell me that the 10,000 I normally accord the students who come from Kiambaa constituency.
How many high schools do you have in your constituency?
In my constituency, Mr.
How many? Because I have 8 high schools in my constituency.
You have how many?
8. And nobody pays any fees. I have sponsored them all through the NG-CDF.
You see, now you have 8, me I have 24. But the other constituencies...
And I'm also sponsoring 350 students in tertiary and university, and the least they get is 40,000 per student. So where are you taking the money?
When I announce in my secondary school that I'm issuing bursary, and I'm telling you those are the day schools, they're about 24. Day and boarding secondary school, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, Angusia, CNN?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, you know, NG-CDF is one of the most unfair fund you have ever seen. You have got 3,000 students
that's
in
not
your
a point of order.
constituency and other constituencies.
Order, Honorable Ngusia, order. That's not a point of order. It's a point of information, but proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I'm well informed by CNN. But when you come to my constituency, the number of students I have for the secondary school already, it's about 6,000. That is day school. When you announce you are issuing bursary to the secondary, to the boarding students, like yesterday I had an activity of people correcting. It's more than 6,000, Mr. Speaker. So there must be a deliberate effort. Money must follow people. We must make sure that where the money is being allocated, there is also population to be able to consume that money. That's why from where you sit, it is easier for you to sponsor 350 students, and you give them what you call sponsorship without even paying a coin. But I cannot manage to do that in my own constituency because the number of students that I have, it's enormous. The amount of money that I set, I normally set to the maximum, which is about 70 million or about 75 million in terms of the amount allocated. That's about 40%. But out of all that money, I can promise you, there is no student I will be able to give more than 8,000 or 10,000, Mr. Speaker. So we must be deliberate in terms of this discussion so that we have a conversation whether the NG-CDF...
How many minutes does he have? Why is it taken forever?
Mr. Speaker, let me finish by saying there must be a deliberate, we must be intentional to discuss this thing about bursary and money allocated to every student. The other suggestion was we leave it to the NG-CDF board.
I also have a foundation. You better put up a foundation and put money aside for education and use your own money also.
Mr. Speaker, you are the one who is consuming my time. What I'm saying is, and you are a senior when it comes to many things. So I'm still following up on the steps. I'm still a junior member around. So I'm still making sure that things are done. But Mr. Speaker, what we are saying, we must be intentional so that we make sure the students from Kiambaa and a student from Turkana, when it comes to allocation of bursaries, it is fairly and equally to every student. So these amendments, they are timely, and we'll continue supporting them to make sure that we establish a system that will be fair as far as the education is concerned. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable David Ochieng, is he there? The MP for Kangundo. MP for Kangundo, followed by the Honorable David Ochieng.